and Happy New Year. Welcome back to Pima Voices. My name is Savannah and I'll be your host. Today we're exploring the world of finance with Natalie Fernandez, who is a Pima Foundation board member and also President of Meridian Wealth Management. Hi, Natalie. How are you today?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good.
Happy to be here.
Yes, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. So January is fun, and I thought it would be great to start off the new year talking about financial wellness because January is also Financial Wellness Month. So I was like, who's the perfect person to talk about this? And I was like, Natalie. So thank you for saying yes and joining us today.
Absolutely. I couldn't be more excited to be here to talk about this topic.
Great. So let's get started. But for anyone who doesn't really know you and your role at the foundation and your role at Meridian Wealth, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I will start with a little bit about myself and then lead into the foundation and my role there. I am a native Tucsonan, and I am the president of my company, Meridian Wealth Management, here in Tucson. My business partner is out in Kentucky, so we really run almost a national company with offices. We have 9 offices from California out to Florida and work in the world of wealth management. So we own a boutique wealth management firm. We manage just shy of about $4 billion for our clients, which consist of individuals, families, businesses, nonprofits, foundations, and more. So our focus as far as the industry is really to provide a holistic, customized approach to our clients in whatever capacity or whatever needs that they have financially. And we serve as full fiduciaries for all of our clients. That is the only way that we operate. And so we're really taking steps to provide that trusted guidance and trusted advice to all of our clients. Being a native, I can tell you that I went to school here at Pima. I went to school at the University of Arizona, and I have worked in a variety of different areas, but all finance driven from a young age. When I was in college is when I really started. And so my career has developed over the last nearly 30 years to get to where I am today. And that leads me to the Pima Foundation. When I was asked to join the board about 3 years ago, I was thrilled to do that. The impact that Pima has in our community, both from an education standpoint for young adults and older adults, anyone that wants to get an education and put that to work, is very meaningful in our community and in many people's lives. And I see a lot of impact that we can create and affect through what the foundation does in supporting the college. And so did not take me much thought when I was asked to join the board. And over the last few years, I am on the board. I'm also the treasurer now of the foundation, and I serve on our executive committee. So I work in a lot of different areas and facets to support what the foundation is doing, which in turn supports what the college is doing, which in turn supports our community.
Well, I know we're all very happy that you're part of the board, and thank you for your support these past few years. And so I also wanted to give you a little plug because I know last year Forbes named you number 15 Best in State Woman Advisor, and then also 104th in Best in State Wealth Advisors as well. So that's huge too. So congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. It was an honor and a proud moment in my professional career.
Yeah.
So I think it's important as we develop our careers to acknowledge some of the accomplishments we make for ourselves. A lot of times we shy away from giving ourselves any credit, but those are some proud recognitions that I did receive last year. And I do hope that when the ratings come out this year that I'll have moved up on the numbers. We'll see.
I hope so too.
Very soon. It's
Yes.
coming out soon.
And so, someone who's on such a prestigious list, I want to know, how would you explain like financial wellness? Like, what is the most simplest terms that you could possibly explain to someone who's maybe not so knowledgeable? Like for me, for instance, like it's not my topic of expertise. So, how would you explain financial wellness to someone?
That is a really good question. And Savannah, where I would start with that is being comfortable talking about money, being curious and able to engage to understand what you don't know, and also being disciplined enough to plan for yourself or have a goal and start somewhere. It is not financial wellness, finances in general can be very, very complicated. One of the key areas that we stress to our clients, and also when I am speaking and educating on financial responsibility and wellness, is I talk about simplicity. It does not need to be overly complicated. And what I find with most people that avoid the topic, it's overwhelming and they don't know where to start. So it can be very simple, and you want to develop a level of comfort with money and talking about finances so that you are empowered to make decisions for yourself. The one thing that I can guarantee you is that one day when you're no longer working, you will need money, and there's nobody coming to save you to pay your bills for you. And to plan for yourself so that you're prepared for that day when it comes is something that every one of us as individuals have to embrace and take hold of. The biggest challenge that I see to that is that people are intimidated or scared, or they don't know. And that's not a young thing. That's an any age thing. I talk to clients and individuals that are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they don't have that comfort level. And there's a lot of questions. And then I talk to young people that are in their teens and 20s that are starting out, and they don't have that comfort level. So no one should ever feel ashamed or nervous about it. But the more we talk about it, which is why I love things like Financial Wellness Month, and being financially aware and financially responsible, is the more we can talk about it and make it simple, then the more people can take steps for their own futures.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest struggle is like people are just like uncomfortable about the topic of money. And I was talking about this with like Kate Hoffman when she was a guest last year in like her Earn to Learn program, and how cool that is to start implementing some of those like financial strategies like early on. Because I feel like, and even just like thinking about high school and like going to school, like no one really talks to you about money. Like there's certain things that just like never arise. So when you're like thrown into the world of adulthood, you're like, there you go. And you're just like, okay, well, so what do I do next?
Well, think about this. You have to pay your bills and figure out how, if you never have. You have to budget. You have to pay for things like a house and a car. Once you have children, you have to figure out how to take care of them, which is a challenge. I mean, it's a lot to juggle.
Yeah.
And if our state could do one thing, it would be to require financial education at in school, in K through 12 school.
Yeah.
And there are programs. There are a lot of good things happening. I started about 13 years ago speaking at the 8th grade level to classes about financial responsibility and the basics of financials. I call it Investing 101. And it's a very simple, I've done it many, many times over the last 13 years. I can do it in my sleep. It's the same thing I've done over and over and over again. But I'm talking to young adults that are 8th grade up through the high school into the college, university level. And you'd be amazed that sometimes an 8th grader grasps the concepts more than someone that's studying business in college. And a lot of it is presentation and how it's presented and what connects. So that is a huge commitment that I have to our community, is to educate about financial responsibility and wellness. If we can do that at a young age, the level of poverty will decrease, our community will be stronger, the empowerment that goes into the hands of individuals and their families increases so drastically, along with things like an education. So all of these go hand in hand, which is why what I do is for a living combined with what I do with the foundation and the capacity that I serve there and the purpose behind it, it really all blends together and has a very strong end impact.
Yeah, I love that concept because I really wish like I knew more younger. Like as I've gotten older, I've learned new things, talked about new things, like signed up an IRA, all this other stuff. And I was like, I had no idea. And so if it was brought up at a younger age, I think that would just be so beneficial. And so like you mentioned, like you talk to people who are like in 8th grade all the way up into college. And so Pima Community College in general, like its average student is maybe like in their 20s already. And so that age difference is like they can either be right out of high school or they're already in the like starting life and maybe have an apartment and things like that or children. And so what financial advice would you give to students who are like starting their journey? What do you think is like step one? Obviously, I feel like step one is like maybe being comfortable and asking for help and asking those questions. So what would you think would be like the most critical part besides that?
So besides that comfort level, how you get there is action. So the number one thing at any age when you are making money, when you have money, it could be that it was gifted to you as a holiday gift or a birthday gift, or it could be that most people, they've gone and worked and they're receiving income. The number one thing you need to do is start saving some of it. And you need to build that habit that you don't spend every penny that comes through. And oftentimes I hear, I can't afford to save. And my answer is, yes, you can. You just have to figure out how to do that. And you've got to figure out where you can cut. I don't care if you're saving, starting with $1 a week, if it's $12 every week, if it's $50 a month, if it's $100 a month. I'll give you an example. I had a client of mine, their daughter was going to start saving, and she was post-high school and not graduated from college yet. And she wanted to save $50 a month, but she was really having a hard time getting $50 a month. And I said, well, we'll save $12.50 a week, and that will be your $50 a month. And she could grasp $12.50 a week. That she could save. I'm amazed at the price of a Starbucks anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I get the most basic. I get a hot tea. That's all I drink from Starbucks. But that now is $4.50. It used to be $2. And so a lot of these drinks are $6, $7. Going out to eat, you have to, number one, be committed to action. You have to, after you're comfortable, you have to say, okay, then I'm going to do something about this. And you can even start before you are totally comfortable. But I can tell you as a financial advisor and watching later in life the outcome of people that either have money or do not and what struggles come with that or rewards, it is important that you start saving. So anyone that is making money, you have to save. I would start in a savings account at the bank, and eventually that transitions, like you mentioned, an IRA, you start saving into an account that's for retirement. Many people in their 20s are going to say, well, retirement's in 40 years. I need to pay my bills now. Mm-hmm. You are going to be so much better off if you can save today a little bit, because then that money will work for you. It's invested and it's growing, and the compound growth over the next 40 or 45 years does way more for you than the amount of money you're putting in. That is hard for most people to grasp. If you're putting $50 a month, it may not seem like it's ever going to get to, how long will it take to get to 1,000 or to 100,000 or to 1,000,000? And some of my clients that I tell this story frequently, every client I have that has retired from Costco is a millionaire. Every single one of them.
Whoa.
They are not the highest paid industry. But what they do when you go to work at Costco, number one, a lot of people go work there and stay for their entire career.
Yeah.
So there's longevity. And number two, when you go work at Costco, the older workers stress to the younger workers that they need to contribute to their 401k, to the retirement plan that's offered. And they do. And then they do it, and they develop this habit, and they do it year after year after year. And by the time you get 30, 40 plus years of contributing something and the growth, it turns into a lot of money. It's amazing. And so anyone that tells me they can't do it because they don't have the money, I tell them it's not true.
Yeah.
We just have to find the way. You've got to find where to carve out. But if you don't take care of yourself, nobody else will. So rule number one, after you're comfortable, you have to take action. You have to do something. You will develop the habits that you can continue to build off of for your future.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, like in my household, like take out once a week, maybe, like all that stuff does add up. And I realized one trick for me that worked really well was like already taking out a certain amount from my paycheck to go directly to my savings. I don't even see that money. So my mind's like, oh, I didn't even get it, but it's already in my savings account and I don't touch that. And
It's
so like
perfect.
that was like one trick for my mind, because sometimes you just need to not even see that it exists for you to spend or want to get that Starbucks or anything else. And so, what are some other tools that maybe people could like utilize besides a saving account? Are there any like apps people can have on their phone or tools that they can utilize online that can like help them with some sort of financial advice? Like, Pima has some, I think the financial aid office does like money matter sessions. But like what else would be out there for people to kind of utilize?
Well, one of the amazing things about the advancement in technology is the easy access to information. And so starting with social media type areas, whether it's Twitter, it's YouTube, like this, where this podcast is one of the areas that this shows. The being able to follow topics in financial wellness or that arena are great resources. There are apps on our cell phones that allow you, if you look up budgeting, there's great budgeting apps. There's great ways to control and digest and know. You mentioned takeout once a week. There are apps where it'll link to your bank account. You can see what you're spending money on and see from a percentage standpoint how much money is dollars and percentages going out of the door to takeout food. And then you can determine what to cut back on. There are apps where you can round up what you're spending, and it creates a savings account within the app that you can then sweep to an account. Or you can invest it into the market and have it start growing. So if whatever you're spending, you can round up to the nearest dollar. It might be 5 cents sometimes, but it might be 93 cents. And you'd be amazed how much that adds up. If you ever go to the grocery store and they say, do you want to round that up for whatever charity? It could only be 3 cents. But the amount of times that happens, it creates a lot of extra money that is put aside for those charities. So the same concept with your own savings. With my young kids, I used to, starting to learn to save, we always played I called it a game, but anything I bought with cash, which is not as common anymore, but I always paid with the full dollar. I never paid with change, and we saved that change in a bucket. And then we would cash that change in
Yeah, I did
and
that as
invest
a kid with
it.
my family.
But it was always a rounding up thing. Another, if you're starting as a saver, is when you're going to purchase something, if you decide to put it back and you don't purchase it, whatever you didn't spend. So if you're at the store and you're thinking, I'm going to buy this, or you're going to go out to dinner. That's a better example. You're going to go out to dinner and you decide not to go and you would have just spent $25. Then take that $25 you did not spend and put it in your savings account. So you're rewarding yourself for making a choice to not go out, and instead you cooked at home and you just saved yourself $25, whatever you think.
Yeah.
If it's $5, if it's whatever it is, take that money as you're thinking about it and move it to your savings account out of your checking account because you just saved that money.
I love that. You have so many fun little topics,
just little
easy things
to make and that's as an early saver. And when you get in those habits, you'll see the reward because you'll see your balance is growing. And all of a sudden you'll have $100, $200, $500, and it'll get exciting. Then you want to be sure it's invested appropriately. And there are a lot of tools for that I could go on and on and on. I will mention that you mentioned the Forbes recognitions. When I've interviewed with Forbes, one of the questions they ask is, what is your minimum account balance for your clients? And when I've been interviewed and my answer is 0, because you don't have a minimum. With the amount of money you manage, you don't have a minimum. I said, we don't have a minimum. And my philosophy behind investing in financial wellness is I could easily put a minimum of $1 million or $2 million or $5 million. But what good does that do for all of the people that don't have $1 million yet? Mm-hmm. And everyone that has $1 million started without $1 million. And they probably started by funding their IRA like you are, and by moving money out of their paycheck over to their savings account. It all started somewhere. And so from a philosophy standpoint, I don't believe in excluding people because they haven't done it yet. And that's where I can't take every client that comes through, but we have a team of people. And so I've made sure that there's a way that anyone that wants to move forward or get advice or get guidance has that ability. And that's where I commit to speaking on things like this with your podcast, or going out into schools, going out to charity groups, serving on boards, all of these different areas to really spread the word as much as we possibly can. And there's a lot more people out there just like me that are doing the same thing. So there are a lot of good resources, but between books, apps, follow financial trends online. I've got a gentleman, Jake Blumenthal, in my office that writes financial information that you can get newsletters. There's so many resources out there that fit everybody's
so much
needs
today. I can't believe it. I'm like, I think I was like a little knowledgeable. I'm like, dang, I'm getting so much more advice, and I hope everyone else is too. And so before we tie things up, I want to kind of like gear it a little bit more to maybe people who, like, for instance, like our foundation philanthropy. So how would you tie like financial wellness to like philanthropic giving, and like, why would someone might want to invest in, like, for instance, the foundation or so forth?
So philanthropic giving has so many different avenues that we could go down. So what I want to really focus on from a philanthropic giving standpoint is I think most successful people want to give back. And that can look and feel a lot of different ways. And what the foundation has created is a way to support the college, which in turn supports our community. Where I've seen, generally speaking, on philanthropic giving, every person, anyone, whether it's a company or an individual, they have a reason and purpose for what they're going to give to whomever that is. So when those individuals are coming to the Pima Foundation, there's some purpose that they have that Pima is important, or it is meaningful to them. So in some cases, it's an individual that went to Pima. They're an alumni. They want to contribute to the educational program that created their success. They want to provide that for others. In some cases, it's a business that operates in Southern Arizona or the Tucson community, and they need more employees that are educated because they find a gap and they're having a hard time. So they see the benefit of supporting the education of Pima because it in turn needs to help their business. They need more educated, qualified workers. In some cases, it's purely to support the community. The graduates at Pima, and I also support the University of Arizona. I'm not on their foundation board, but I do work from an education standpoint and also donate money to the university. I think both are very, very important. But why I'm on the foundation board is that the majority of the graduates at Pima are going to stay in our community. Unlike at the university, the majority of the graduates leave our community. I'm okay with that. I went to Pima and U of A. I have a child that's graduated from the University of Arizona. I also have kids that have come to Pima. So my own children, not so within my own family, we've experienced all of it. But overall, our community is stronger with lower poverty, with stronger families, with stronger business, with stronger economic impact for Southern Arizona through the education programs at Pima. And they're so vast and they're so diverse and they're so strong. So an individual that wants to contribute to that, there's so many different ways to do that. And every donor has a purpose for why and where they want that money to go, what program, what impact, et cetera.
Well, Natalie, I feel like we can talk about financial wellness for so long. There's so much information to be shared, but I love everything that you've shared today because it reaches a broad spectrum of audience between like students, no matter if they're just out of high school, if they're coming back to college, speaking of donors, and just to tie a little bit on what we talked about like right now with donors, if anyone was interested, we did recently put together a new planned giving guide that's available on our website, which is at pimafoundation.org. They can contact us via that website as well. But was there anything else that you wanted to add before we went ahead and ended our session today?
One final note on donors is that the way that the foundation is structured, and one of the greatest successes of the foundation, the staff at the foundation, the director of the foundation, and also the board, is the flexibility that's given to the donor to have impact where they see it most valuable to them. And so we have really, speaking of planned giving, speaking of the donors that come through, a focus of ours is to hold that fiduciary role, stewardship of funds that are given to the foundation for the benefit of the college, and to provide the donor all of the opportunities to gear and direct those funds where they see fit. And it's not for us to judge or determine for them. Those are their passions. It's their impact. So we are the vessel to get through to the impact that is at the end, which is truly helping our Southern Arizona community through education at any level. I'm really proud of the work that the foundation does, as well as, again, all of the staff, all of the board. There are a lot of really amazing people that have come together to support the mission of what the foundation does in its support for the college. So I am very grateful that you invited me to be on today and to be able to talk about a topic that I as well could go on forever about. But you've directed me very well to keep me focused. So you've done a fantastic job. And I do think that the more this can be discussed, the more comfortable people are on any level, whether you're just starting and you're taking that first step, or you've developed that and you're looking now at how to give back. Every step along the way, there's things that we can do as individuals to be more responsible, and from a foundation level that we can do to help you direct that impact where you would like it to go.
Natalie, I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you so much. And again, I'm grateful that you're here to talk to me about it, and not just me, to our audience as well. I'm always learning more and more about financial wellness, and I think it's a really important topic no matter your age. And so this is a great way to start off the new year with the podcast. So thank you again for stopping by.
You
and I'm
are
sure
so welcome.
I will see you soon because you are on the board.
Well, Happy New Year and happy
Year.
Financial Wellness Month to all.
Yes. And I will see everyone next week on a new episode of Pima Voices. So see you then.